Welcome to episode 8 of me building my dream van conversion.
I would like to tour and play in all 69 cities in the UK. So I bought this really cheap battered transit van, and I'm going to turn it from a messy work van into a living space that's heated and comfortable.
Today we're going to be making some plywood panels to fill the gaps between the walls and the roof of the van. And when those panels are finished, they're also going to contain the lighting that will light up the inside of the van. At the point of starting this video, I've already cut the pieces of wood to go into the slots. I forgot to film it. This is going to be a running thing. I forget to film a lot of stuff. But you've already seen me cut loads of pieces of wood. I just use the table saw like I use for everything else. As you can see, the pieces of ply just slid into the gaps like an absolute dream. Now, I spent ages trying to figure out how to hold these things up and what the best technique was. And when I came to put them in, they just kind of stuck in the right place. So I could stop panicking about that. But I did have to find a way to hold them up, and I decided to use wood at one end and make some purpose-built metal fasteners to hold the other pieces up. But I'm going to start with the wood pieces, and these two little pieces I've cut here, they're going to go into the back of the van. Now, the piece of ply that I'm screwing into here at the back is a real scabby mess, and I really regret not doing a better job of this. I've still not really found what to do with these back pillars, how to cover them up and make them look pretty. But I'm taking a bit of a break from the van obsession at the minute and getting on with editing 69 cities. So the van isn't entirely finished yet, there's just one or two little bits like that that aren't quite in the bag. And they just slot in like that. How perfect is that? Dead easy. What I'm doing here is I'm making some templates out of some bits of pizza box. And my plan was to make an aluminium strap that would go across the woodwork and hold it in. But I quickly found that aluminium, or at least the aluminium I had, was just a really bad material to work with and looked quite ugly. So I decided to change over for a different idea. Steel. So I decided to make these little steel brackets, flanges. I'm not really sure what you call them, but yeah, I'll call it a bracket flange. I decided to make a lot of bracket flanges, and I abandoned the strap idea because I thought that would just be unnecessarily heavy in steel, and a lot of these little bracket flanges would be just as strong as a aluminium strap. Okay, I just googled it, and it's definitely not a flange. So a flange is an edge that sticks out from an object and makes it stronger, or as in the wheel of a train, keeps it in the correct position. Now this is a bracket, it doesn't have any of the qualities of a flange. But I may continue calling it a flange because it's just nicer to say flange. Hot tip, always use a punch to center your drill, it just makes everything easier. Life is easier with a punch. And here you can see the aluminium strap that I replaced with the far superior steel bracket flange that I can't stop calling a flange even though it's not. But the aluminium strap is going to be really useful because what the soft metal has allowed me to do is it's allowed me to get the perfect angle that I need to bend each bracket flange to. Now I have a perfect angle. There we are.
2 minds now whether to put any more in.
So that is magic and not a save for when you forget to press record on the camera. See these pieces sliding like a dream, and I'm really happy with them. I'm going to add the first bracket there. And as we're doing it, I'm going to explain why they're bright blue. I was a tiny bit uncertain at first what colour these should be and if this blue was going to clash too much with the red and the yellow. But I actually really like it now, and the reason I wanted them sky blue is because the lights are going to be mounted into them, and when the lights are on at night it's going to be like stars in the sky, and when the lights are off it's going to be like a blue daytime sky. So I'm going to have a strip of sky down each side of my van and a whole van full of happy flanges.
So this is the system that I've come up with for the roof.
That seems to be very successful. Okay, so here I've got the second blue panel, and we've got the back marked out, ready to be tapped and then drilled. So that's the next project. So here's the punch coming into its own again. The reason we use the punch is to make a little indentation in the wood, so that when you put the drill in, the drill kind of knows where to go downwards and you get a perfectly positioned hole. So at several points in this series you're probably going to see me either painting topless or painting in my underpants, and there's a reason for this. It's because A, it's really hot, and B, if I want to change out of good clothes into painting clothes, I have to walk up 3 flights of stairs, and sometimes I just can't be bothered, so why not just paint in your pants? At this point in the build I spent a lot of time just lying on my bed in my van enjoying the work that I'd done and feeling excited to start travelling, and by this point I had already started travelling and filming 69 cities. But I'd just lie on my bed and I'd stare at these skanky back doors. They're now the grossest part of the van, so I'm really excited that this episode we're going to do something about them and we're going to get them looking pretty. Using the old plywood as a template, I screwed it down into the new plywood and began to draw a new design for a big door card that would cover absolutely the whole door. Apart from I had a small problem because the sheet of plywood I bought wasn't quite big enough to do both doors. So each door has a little kind of square cut out of it where they overlap, and yeah, it looks a bit sketch, but eventually I'm going to fill those little squares in and it's going to look brilliant. And at the end of the day, this project is all about saving money and being resourceful and not wasting loads of materials, so the idea of getting 2 doors out of 1 piece of ply was too tempting. I've clamped the first new door on, and I'm just putting a few screws in it to secure it. Then I'm going to take it off again and make some cuts for just little bits and pieces that need some holes, like the latch and the handle. Then we're going to give it a paint, which is going to be fun. Hopefully then soon these door pieces should be on. The most painful bit of this job was getting the clamps to stay on the door and hold it in the perfect position to drill the holes. But once that was sorted, they actually went on pretty easily. So this job now is trying to measure out and make sure all the little latches and handles and pieces that need to be part of the door card are all cut out in the right position. With some paint on, these doors really start to look very special. My original intention was that they were going to be like a signing wall, so that wherever I went in the country with my van, people could sign their names on the back doors, but I changed my mind about that. Just because they look too nice, they look too good white, so the side door is going to be the signing wall now. So if you'd asked me a year ago what I was going to be doing in a year's time, I don't think my answer would have been having my back doors stuffed on camera. But you live and learn things about yourself, and you've got to be open to new experiences. Ford had obviously decided that it was very important to have these back doors watertight sealed, so I decided to honour that feeling and sticky tape the plastic flaps back shut. I don't know what this was meant to achieve, but I don't know, like, maybe it helped. There we are, completely watertight. Ish. Not. A big thank you to Alex, who gave me a little plastic tool for cracking open these little plastic doodahs that they use these non-threader fasteners that kind of clip the door cards in, and they're quite effective, you know, you can't fault them. I better explain what we're stuffing the van with. This stuff is called PET plastic bottle insulation, and you've probably seen it in the other videos, but if this is your first video you might not have done. And the idea behind this is that it's just standard insulation, but it's made out of recycled plastic bottles, which I think is really cool. And the idea is that we put this into as many cavities of the van as we can to make it extra insulated against the cold weather, and then we cover it with what's called a moisture barrier, which is kind of bubble wrap sheathed in tin foil, and it looks like it's from space, which I like. Here we are, here comes the space age bubble wrap. So space age bubble wrap has a dual purpose. It acts as an insulator, which is great. The silver foil reflects radiation from the inside and outside of the van, so it keeps it hot if it's hot inside. If it's hot outside and cool inside, it keeps it cool. But the other cool thing is when you're in the van and you're breathing, a lot of your breath condenses onto the metal, and that can rust the metal and it can lead to problems in the future. So if you cover those surfaces with aluminium foil, what that does is it allows the breath, the condensation to form on that metal and corrode that metal instead of making the van rust, which is brilliant because we don't want a rusty van. So if you find yourself with moist cavities, you should stuff them and cover them in tinfoil. It's better safe than sorry. Oh my god, how good does this look? It looks amazing! And we're even putting back on the original handle, so it's going to look authentically Ford. Oh, it looks so cool. I've just got to take a second and just appreciate my sexy rear end. So there they are, the new back doors. I've just got to get this mucky old thing sorted. Very satisfying. They look a bit plain at the minute, but once they've got the signatures on, this is going to be our signing wall, so anybody we meet during the tour can put their signature on there and hopefully fill it up. It's going to be good. I'm very happy with this one. Okay, I'm going to show you what I'm doing. I nearly forgot to film this. So these are the sky side pieces that I made the other day, and I've attached them together in the middle of this piece because this next bit's going to be quite complicated. I've got this very delicate wire LED string. It's hopefully going to be the lights for the van. Got it off eBay. It was like $1.99 for each. I've got one for each side. I've got 5 meters, so I'm drilling these tiny holes, and then I'm going to put some of this old telephone wire here through and make a loop like this. I'm just cutting it off. It's like some nice recycling. Basically the next thing is to drill more holes, and then I'm probably going to have to put a little bit of paint across the front to hide the little marks that are kind of obtrusive. What you can see here that you probably haven't seen before is you took those 2 different pieces of short plywood and I made a little plywood square in the middle to join them together. And I wasn't quite sure I was going to do this, but it just worked with that, just a little plywood square and some screws through it. The only snag is I painted everything else and I haven't painted the plywood square, so I kind of had to paint the plywood square in situ. So here I am painting my plywood square. So these little strings of LED lights, they came from Amazon and they were buy one get one free for $3.99. So they're literally £1, £2 each, £2 each for these light strips. All the wood came from Tyler, the landlady of the Golden Eagle, where we do our open mic night every week. And she had a load of wood in the garage, so she gave it to me, and that's become so many different parts of the van. It was part of the bulkhead, it's these bits. So thank you very much, Tyler, for that wood. It was a huge help. This was definitely one of the most fun parts of the build, because I had this idea in my head, and just getting these lights in and seeing it all come together was such an amazing feeling. And when they all lit up, it was such a moment, such a moment. Small telephone cord extender. So I'm going to take these tiny wires and use them in a new life. So these little bits of wire, as I said, it's from a telephone cord extender, so it's really thin single core wire. And I just strip it out and I just use it to tie the little knots and secure the very thin wire of the LED strips onto the backing board. And it was just so effective. It all worked perfectly. I'm not saying I'm a genius, but you know, can't be that far off. Are you ready for the big moment? It's coming up. It's coming up. It's coming up. Oh, we get one. So these are my new stars, my little cosmos that's going to drive around the country with me and light up my way when I feel lonely. And I'm just so happy. It's exactly what I wanted. Like, life is just better with fairy lights. If you're feeling down, get yourself some fairy lights. And now for the other side. Let's see the other side. So here it is. Here's the moment. Oh yeah, look at that. Yeah, that's what I like. Now for some reason I didn't film putting this one in situ. I must have rushed through it in a massive splurge of excitement and forgot to turn the camera on. But you can see I was working into the night, and actually the lights were really helpful for putting up the other side. Now these lights aren't the brightest interior light system, I've got to admit. They're not perfect. I could really do with a little bit more of a light source. But I can't tell you that when I'm going to sleep at night and I'm just ready after a hard day's adventuring and I'm putting those lights on, it feels so good.
Oh yeah. So happy.
So I think that's it for another episode of Sam's Fan Build. And thank you for being here, and thank you for sharing these moments with me. And now that the van's nearing completion, I think I can start to release some episodes of 69 Cities without giving away too many spoilers. 69 Cities is the series that I'm making that I built the van for, where I go to every single city in the UK and I make a film about that city. And I also film a concert, an open mic there with lots of original performers and music that you might not have heard before. And I'm really, really excited about that concept. But I felt like I had to get to this stage in the van build before I started releasing them. I've had some really, really lovely feedback about these van build episodes, and I think there's some people out there who are actually really enjoying them, and I appreciate that so much, because I wasn't sure when I was making them if anybody would actually want to watch them, and it's really cool that you do, and I hope that you're getting something out of it. If you want me to keep making content like this, I want to keep making it, but it definitely helps if I have money to do it with. And I have a Patreon, which is flashing up on the screen now probably. I don't like making these things about money, and if you're enjoying this content for free, I want you to be totally comfortable carrying on doing that. But I know there's some people out there who do have money and they want to give it to things that they think are important. So if you'd like to support me in making the videos that I make and the content that I create and my music and everything that I do, then my Patreon is www.patreon.com/Sam Harrison, and you can pay £1 a month or more, and I promise I'll put that money into making something really, truly, uniquely beautiful that wouldn't have existed if it wasn't for your help. Anyway, big thanks and big love, and I will see you on the next episode of Van Build, which may be the dreaded diesel heater. Don't quote me on that, because I'm scared of the diesel heater. It's going to be such a big edit. It'll be good though, I promise. See you.